I am sad that K.D. Lang's Surrender, the closing credit theme song, is not available on Spotify.
That's a shame.
There is a generic version by, some Philharmonic concert or group. Like, I don't even know which group it is. It's a type of orchestra. It sounds very echoey. Their soloist is just a soloist. They don't even give her a credit. And it's not as triumphant as the closing credits theme song. And I have it stuck in my head. I just keep humming it to myself. And I can't satisfy myself by going onto Spotify and hitting play. And I have to do the extra step of going to YouTube and watching ads. Or popping the Blu-ray back in and going all the way to the closing title sequence.
See, I don't know that I sit through the credits because was it the same as the beginning?
Nope. Totally different song.
Oh, geez.
There were competing theme songs written. One by K.D. Lang, one by Sheryl Crow. At the time, Sheryl Crow was the big star. And so she got the opening credits with her song. And it's a fine song. It's just, I don't know if Sheryl Crow is the right vocalist for it. She has these weird breaths that she takes like in the middle of a phrase, and it doesn't sound very confident, and you really want confidence with your Bond theme. And then you get to the end of the movie and you've got a traditional 90s and on long scroll credits. That's a thing that now is happening. And we have watched that transition in movie history, essentially. And so with these new credits, they find a new song to cover the whole thing. And, we'll eventually get to a future where they're putting 3 songs in the closing credits because they're so long.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
But in this case, their second theme song was another one with Tomorrow Never Dies in the title, or in the lyrics, but it was a song called Surrender. And it's such a good song. It's incredible, and it's the end of the movie.
And people like me are like, all right, well,
yep, movie's done, go away. And I'm like, you missed it.
There's nothing to watch through the credits for.
Yeah, it's just black with white text. I hear you, and they're never going to do like a closing or a post-credit sequence. So really, the only thing for it, or going for it, is that K.D. Lang song called Surrender. And you didn't even hear it.
I didn't. Oh. That is a negative. I actually haven't written down my rating because does the evil telecom villain just kind of smash it for me? And then his 90s pretty villain sidekick, I'm like, what are the other movies around this era? Because the bad thing is that this guy has the control of the media. It's like, well, yeah, Bond cuts him off the air while he's saying stuff. It's not. There's no major threat that he's tied into, at least to that point that I think of. So it was odd.
Hello and welcome to Potato Chip Pictures, a movie franchise review podcast currently looking at the James Bond franchise. My name is B. Sammy Davis.
Hello and welcome. I am Justin.
And today we are looking at 1997's Tomorrow Never Dies. A short 2 years after GoldenEye. This one came back with nearly double the budget, so we're at $110 million budget versus $60 million budget. Now, remember, GoldenEye had a record-breaking $352 million at the box office. It was massive in terms of its success. And this one did $333 million in the box office. So
is that more or less?
It is less. It is nearly $20 million less, and it cost them $50 million to make $20 million less.
I wonder if they had to make the boat or something.
Yeah, that could be it. That would be a huge
what cost so much?
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm blasted up. I mean, I didn't recognize as much set design as Moonraker, but man, saying that much.
Yeah, it's
curious.
hard to reconcile because as I think about the movie, I'm like, I don't know what could have cost that much.
They switched from, European to, well, I guess switched from European, but switched from the English car to the BMW, so that's different, right?
Yep. And that's going to be like what they do for all of Pierce Brosnan's era. It's all BMWs. I'm not familiar enough with these 4 movies for me to know for sure, but that could have been a big part of the budget. The boat could have been a big part of the budget, even if it's just the miniature. There's so many moving parts with that that I imagine that would cost a lot of money. But then you've got the sets that they have to build. I can see that costing a pretty penny. But I'm really not seeing the extra $50 million. This doesn't look that much better than GoldenEye for me to say, yeah that's justified.
Yeah, it's got this. I continue my enjoyment of the 90s era lenses and filming because it just feels clear without feeling like 2025 now. Like, I do think there's maybe a couple parts of CGI.
Yeah.
I think a couple, but all the rest is just,
there was some
in film.
Early days CGI that kind of took me out. The one that I think of the most is the banner escape when Waylon and Bond jump onto the big banner of our villain's face and they slide down it. And that is a digital effect and it looks very digital. It didn't age particularly well, but as the saying goes, in the age of digital effects, anything can be digital as long as the last shot is practical. And when they get to the end of it, they are hanging on at least part of what would have been that giant banner. So, so they did do something practical, and I can definitely appreciate that. One thing I learned this week, this movie was directed by Roger Spottiswoode. I don't know if I am pronouncing that correct. It looks like a dirty word. It sounds like a dirty word to say. Apparently, he's had a very good career as a director, but he was extremely difficult to work with in this movie. So Pierce Brosnan describes it as being, a really hard shoot. Apparently, Dame Judi Dench really disliked the guy and had trouble on set. And I didn't know any of that until today. I was like, finally, we got a good performance from Judi Dench as M. And I had no idea she didn't even like being there.
Yeah, I'd agree. Feels like she becomes the role a bit more. And I mean, people in the universe are still holding it against her that she's a woman, and it's like, how many more movies did she get to get through? Like 8 more of these?
Let's see. More than that. Like she's probably going to go all the way until we're at the end. I don't know. I've never seen No Time to Die from 2021, so I don't know if she is in that one. But I know she was in Spectre, wasn't she? She was definitely in Skyfall because she was kind of the main character, or at least the main target. But I don't remember Spectre, and I never saw No Time to Die.
I don't know about Spectre. Oh wait, I think what's his face does take over. Like in Skyfall, they're prepping the next guy, and it's the Ralph guy or Rafe or is it Voldemort?
I don't know.
What's his name?
Ray Fiennes, I think.
Ray
is what
Fiennes.
You're saying.
I've always seen it in print, but I've never had to pronounce it.
Yes.
So
and I'm just taking a stab in the dark. I don't know. It might be completely different.
Anyway, as her second go as M, I think she becomes more of what is familiar of her in the later 007s.
I think Pierce Brosnan, from the top-down perspective, I think he kind of takes a stumble as Bond in this. There are times when he's very good and very compelling, but for a lot of the movie, I'm just like, he already looks old and tired. He just...
somewhat for me.
It just didn't have the same punch as GoldenEye. You know?
Yeah. I think in this one he does have a couple of fight scenes where he's in the choreography. So
he is, and I cannot fault him for that. And I guess I'm really just criticizing this off of the one fight scene that we will eventually talk about. But that's not enough for our overview of the movie. Once again, we are out of the book realm, so there are no books that we can mention. I don't even know if this has reference to anything related to the books. What I've heard is that it was a typo, and I don't remember what the original was supposed to be, but for some reason it came out as Tomorrow Never Dies. Dies was the word that was the typo. And so, maybe the original had something to do with the books, but the title that the movie is completely unrelated to Ian Fleming at this point.
I guess looking at the poster, it kind of does portray the media side of whatever this villain is doing. It feels a bit like the other guy that had rockets and was stealing rockets and
I forgot his name, but he was the Moonraker guy, Moonraker guy was stealing the actual shuttles. I'm trying to remember the rockets. Oh, Thunderball? No, he stole the jet.
I think they're because they got the plant that they're gonna. No, so it's not the plant. I feel like there was one where he was gonna launch a missile, and it's gonna seem like it's from a different country.
Yes, that was For Your Eyes Only. No, The Spy Who Loved Me. Oh my gosh.
I have no idea.
I said it so confidently and then realized immediately that I was wrong.
So I think that's it's familiar, and that's what ends up being the drive of this villain. But really early, did we even get to the credits? I don't even remember seeing the credits roll or the intro roll.
Yeah.
Ugh. It feels a little bit of a mess, in all honesty.
Okay. In case I cut it from the intro, because sometimes I listen back to these things and decide to just completely kill an intro. One of our mutual buddies said of another movie that the more he thought about it, the less he liked it. And that is what is happening to me with this movie. But also it was the second viewing of the movie that kind of killed it, because I came in, we got done recording last week And then I immediately popped in the Blu-ray and watched Tomorrow Never Dies. And when I got to the end of it, I was like, this movie has aged remarkably well. Like, it was prescient. It was definitely taking a dig at a modern day figure from that time, because this movie has always been called the Rupert Murdoch villain movie, because Rupert Murdoch.
But he's wearing a turtleneck. I was like, I was lost in my timelines. Who are we?
At this time, Rupert Murdoch was buying up a bunch of, mom and pops, news stations, radio stations, newspapers. The law had recently changed, because it used to be that like no individual could own over a certain amount, and that law got repealed, so he could own it all.
Oh boy.
And so he was making news constantly for all of these seemingly tiny acquisitions, where he was buying up a local television station that had maybe a viewing audience of 5,000, and he was buying it for, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and people were like, what is his deal? And now we live in a post-Fox News world, and I'm like, they called it in this movie.
It's one guy making all the information.
Yeah. So in that way, I think this movie has aged fairly well. I think this movie has done pretty good. And the other thing about this movie that makes it a little bit prescient was the fact that at the time people were like, no, you can't have a Chinese security force. Like, who would believe in Chinese spies? That's not a real thing. And now they're the second largest superpower in the world. And so it's like this movie called a couple of big shots and hit both of them out of the park. And so I think it needs to be credited for that. I also absolutely love the remote control car. And then everything else just starts to needle at me in ways where I'm like, oh man, that sucked. Oh man, that was a bad idea. Oh man, why'd they do it like that? And so that's when my score starts to drop, when I think back on everything else about the movie.
It's not the best entry, I think. I mean, comparing just the two, GoldenEye and this one, I really hate the Stamper villain. I do appreciate that he's incompetent in the way that certain Bond girls were incompetent, where you're like, you can't actually kill him. Why don't you just actually kill Bond? Please, would you just kill his face? It's like, okay, I'm glad that the villain is having obstacles. I think I read it in my notes that the fact that he has to counter some of Bond's intentions and plans is a bonus towards him, but Stamper, right? I'm saying that right? He's
the henchman, right? The Aryan-looking dude.
Yeah, like he's basically the guy from Rocky, but this Steve Jobs, I guess Rupert Murdoch guy, just doesn't. I feel like it's trying to give like tech vibes and media vibes, and it just all sounds odd and off to now audiences, at least to me.
Oh man, I got the exact opposite reading.
Oh, yeah.
Well, only because I keep seeing billionaires in the news who sound almost exactly like this villain, and I'm just like, wow, were they taking notes while they watched these movies? Like they were following the wrong characters. But I appreciate, so it's Elliot Carver is the media mogul. I appreciate his role, but I do agree that the way Jonathan Pryce played it doesn't really work for me. I don't know if Jonathan Pryce is the best choice for a big time movie villain. I mean, it's hard because at times he looked the part, at times he sounded the part. And then at other times, I was just like, I don't buy it. I don't think that this guy is the one who's going to start World War III.
Yeah.
So I'm on the fence. I see too many modern day billionaires acting like Elliot Carver for me not to be like it is a pretty good villain just for the fact that it was another called shot that ended up being true. But I will go with you that I wasn't fully compelled by any of the villains, especially Stamper. I thought he was kind of weak. And I didn't really like, I think it's Gupta, the computer hacker.
Oh
Just
yeah.
think he's kind of there for the whole
I feel like he's
movie.
in a different Bond movie,
I
but
think so too. Like he
right,
looks so familiar that I
he
was
looks
like,
incredibly familiar.
I mean, he is a pretty big character actor, so he would be in a lot of things. Ricky Jay
Yeah.
is his name, but he did look recently familiar. So if you got that vibe too, maybe he was in something
From
else.
something, unless he's some other thing. He's not credited in any other ones. Well, I'll say the thing I disliked the most from the villain's point of view was the dated screens showing his monologue. He looked so like the screens in Back to the Future that are like, hey, 1980s, and it's so almost pixelated, but not pixelated because the screens are CRT monitors. It just looks washed out and filtered really odd. And then for him to be going on about, all this media stuff.
Let's get into this movie specifically, and we'll get into all of our reviews and stuff because we gotta have an opening scene, and it seems that nobody at United Artists or Eon got the notice. Nobody got the memo from me that says when you do your opening sequence deeply connected to the main story, then everything doesn't work as well. Because Gupta and the red box that Bond is going to look for are both in this scene. I didn't notice it the first time when I liked the movie the most. I noticed it the second time and I was like, oh no, what does this mean?
It's the same movie. It's all attached. I think it's fun to at least continue that theory. I couldn't tell you which intros of which movies differed from the rest of their stuff, but I do think having just a separate mission is still a good way to go, even if we don't need it to necessarily match the rest of the plot.
Well, and to be fair, this one really is kind of its own thing. It's only that we get introduced to Gupta and the GPS encoder. Those are the only two things. But he's just a throwaway image in the entirety of the thing. Like they show him on camera maybe 3 times, and it's mostly to show him escaping. But otherwise, we're really focused on Judi Dench as M in the operations center of the British military and British intelligence services. And I love her performance. We finally get a good version of M, and I'm just like, wow.
Yeah, it's a good. I recognize the same thing with the one Gupta guy, because maybe that's where I'm finding him familiar from, is the very same movie, because it's like, oh, this guy, I guess I should have recognized him at the beginning, but yeah, just blew on by because Bond is trying to disarm nukes or something.
It's unclear
it.
what his mission is. Like, he's found a terrorist black market, like a terrorist bazaar where various underground dealings can be done. That's why Gupta's there. He's not necessarily part of any terrorist ring. He just needs to buy something from some terrorists. But there are people from other countries there, and when that's discovered, that's when the head of the British Navy meets with the head of the Russian military inside of that command center. Why did they let the Russians inside there? But they're like, oh yeah, there's an election coming up, so we can't have any deaths of Russian military. So the British Navy are gonna shoot a missile at it, but Bond notices that one of these stolen jets has a Russian nuke on it. Oh no!
Is that the nuke that they end up putting on their boat?
No, it's on the boat they put a cruise missile, and I don't think it's atomic. I think it's just a conventional missile. I guess in the next scene when they steal that particular thing. But this nuke gets delivered safely back to Russia. We're jumping ahead. We gotta. I love that we're playing coy about who is on the ground. They keep calling him White Knight.
Oh yeah.
And they've got chess piece names for everyone.
Who could it be?
Yeah, who could White Knight possibly be?
Came to a James Bond movie. Who is it?
It gives Judi Dench some time to chew up the screen, so I can appreciate that. And when Bond finally shows up, he does come in by punching someone in the face after lighting a cigarette. And then that cigarette is a bomb that he can throw. It's a lot of action. It's pretty intense because you've got a countdown going for most of it, where it's like the missile is going to hit in this many seconds, and Bond has to hijack a jet, and everything on the ground I love. I'm not as big a fan of everything in the air.
Yeah, it's mostly a forgettable intro, because I'm like, oh yeah, it's had to escape on a plane. Oh, but the guy he knocked out in the back is going to strangle him. So he's going to magically eject just the rear seat and fly away with or without a canopy. Who knows?
He's got no window anymore in the back.
I think I have completely forgotten about it because it didn't. I don't feel like it ever comes back into matching the rest of the movie. So, but, I mean, we find out that the one guy is, but it's still interesting.
So I'm of two minds about it. On the one hand, I'm like, well, Gupta is in it, and this is where he buys the GPS encoder that becomes such a big deal for the rest of the movie, blah, 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 blah. But on the other hand, he's barely in it. He's identified. We see him maybe 3 times, but really what this scene is about is Bond hijacking a jet, escaping a missile strike, and for some reason another jet either was already in the air or the second jet on the ground magically escaped that same missile strike, and it's now chasing him. There's a bit of slapstick comedy when he does the ejector seat. The guy goes flying upwards into the back of the pursuing jet, and then both of them fly off and explode. And it's kind of, it's a really fast thing, and you're just like, oh, that was kind of funny. But again, on second viewing, I'm just like, oh, yay, slapstick murder. That's I guess that is part of James Bond's charm.
Maybe the planes were the problem with the budget.
Yeah, they shouldn't have exploded that jet.
I mean, it's possible. Maybe that's a miniature.
Yeah.
I think having the clip playing on it, the quips seem to be a feature of the Pierce Brosnan era, and I am 85% of the time not a fan.
Yes.
It's too many. Give me 5 spread across the film, and you're done.
This might be the quippiest movie of them all. Like, he's got a quip in almost every scene. And, well, I'm exaggerating, but he's got a lot of quips in this movie, and many of them are forgettable. Some of them work. Some of them are fine. And I enjoy the, sorry, I tuned out for a minute or whatever at the end of the movie. That's the only one that's popping into my mind at the moment, but there are a lot of them, and yeah, it's kind of funny. Like, I don't know why, but there are times when someone decides Bond needs to be a comedy franchise, and I don't get it. Like, the dude has a license to kill, not a license to do stand-up. Like, why does he have to be funny?
He doesn't need to be. Oh.
Yeah, but, after that whole sequence that you had mostly forgotten, and I am of two minds about, they then have the opening song, and I don't like any of it. I don't like the title sequence. I don't like the imagery. I don't like the Sheryl Crow song. It's like a 1 out of 10 for me. This might be my least favorite, and it's not horrible. It's not like something that was really bad. It's just they could have done so much better, and it feels like this is maybe a first or second draft. They got all the way in.
They didn't have the Beatles to bail them out.
Yeah.
Could have been better.
Yeah, so I don't like the Sheryl Crow song. It's one of those situations where you have a very big star, so you're going to use the big star. And sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. And in this case, I just don't think she was the vocalist for this song. I'm okay with Sheryl Crow. A few of her radio hits are on my playlists because a good song is a good song. This just isn't one of them. I'll get into why I'm even more bitter about this opening song when we get to the very end of the movie. But
I have no opinion on the song. I think I listened to it and I couldn't tell you a single thing about it. I was surprised to hear that it was Sheryl Crow. Like, oh, well, I didn't miss anything, and I enjoyed the same radio songs as she has.
Yeah, like she's fine. I'm not opposed to Sheryl Crow. I'm not saying she's bad. For this song, she's not the right vocalist. And the only reason I'm bitter about it, all right, I'm going to jump right to it. The only reason I'm bitter about it is because the closing credits song is a song called Surrender by Katie Lang. It has Tomorrow Never Dies in the lyrics.
Oh,
it's
interesting.
So that's part of it. And it's an amazing song. It's incredible. It's bombastic. It really sets the mood. And it's at the end of the movie. And you can't find it on Spotify. And that makes me so angry that song has been doubly shafted. And I almost blame Sheryl Crow for it. And I have no reason to.
I didn't even catch it. I got to the title scroll and it's like, okay, that's the end of the movie. Well, so guess I missed something important.
Yep, you didn't hear one of my favorite Bond songs of them all, and that's okay because most people have never heard one of my favorite Bond songs of them all. Yeah, so Surrender by Katie Lang, I highly recommend looking it up. There's an unofficial music video on YouTube. Someone else also took the opening credits from Tomorrow Never Dies and replaced the Sheryl Crow song with the Katie Lang song. And it still fits. It still works. Like it would have been a much better song. But whatever. I'm not the director. I'm not the one who gets to make these choices.
the director gets a very conspicuous credit during the intro. Like, I noted it before I even knew that Broccoli didn't do this one. I was like, oh. And at the end, they're like, what do they call it? Something to
in memoriam of.
In memoriam, yeah. Like, oh, well, that makes more sense. Why?
And that's another one of those things that people speculate when they talk about this movie. They're like, well, you know, the last of the two major producers died, and so you had no one really steering the ship anymore. Nobody had the confidence to put their foot down and make a creative decision. Because, you know, that is what both of the producers would do. They didn't get along with each other. And they were at this point where they were doing every other movie with one of them being the main producer. But they had
troublesome.
Yeah, but they had strong creative visions, and you can see that in all of their movies. You can see, for better or worse, they are going for the direction that they chose. And I don't get that impression with this movie. There are just times when it changes tone so radically that I'm like, I don't know if that necessarily works. But again, that's all things that I'm thinking about in retrospect, because the more I think about this movie, the worse it gets for me.
Yeah, and I think maybe I just soured on the villain because immediately we meet up with him talking and giving like threats to the president, but I'm like, you haven't shown me any sort of reason why this president would be really afraid of you. Like, you're gonna release software with a bunch of bugs. Make sure those bugs are in there. And it's like, okay, but why? Like, that software bit is kind of like a throwaway line that I don't understand what they're trying to do. Like, he doesn't care about that. He wants stuff.
I think yes, I'm with you. Like, the software bug does kind of needle at me as well, because, you know, as a little behind the curtain for this particular show, Justin and I met at a job where we were both software developers, and we had a hard deadline for getting something released. And you never are able to put something out perfect because things are different in the wild than they are in your test environment. And so, you know, you're always doing work on fixing things. It just doesn't make sense to someone who does it professionally that anyone would intentionally add bugs or anything like that, because the bugs are usually accidental. They are not intentional. Like, the mystery of the bug is why the accident happened. Like, so it's just a weird thing for him to say, and it kind of shows. I mean, and I'll admit, because I'm no longer a software developer, whereas you continue in that direction, at least from my eyes, and so I can at least see where they're coming from now that I'm back on the other side. And I'm like, yeah, it does sometimes feel like, why did they put out a crappy version of something?
Like, you leave a bug in and someone will stop using your software and stop paying you money for it. So I guess you don't want bugs, I guess.
But not Elliot Carver. He's just evil for the sake of being evil.
He's twirling his invisible mustache. Like, this guy is so odd, and come to find out, I don't even know why Bond's ex has ended up with him. I don't know if that's explored at all.
Maybe
it is. Okay, cause I'm like,
she was
Terry
just hot.
Hatcher is with this villain guy, and this villain guy is it's an odd pairing. I did not find it convincing. But if they had maybe given a bit more room to that relationship, it might have made a little bit more sense.
Even if they wanted to show him as being villainous and controlling and maybe an abusive husband, that still would have given me anything because I think they interact twice in the whole movie. It's very weird that they are together for this thing. But okay, I need to say part of, okay, in this movie's defense, and I don't mean to say in this movie's defense, because in all reality, it's not a great showing for this villain, except that at some point in the last week or two, Peter Thiel of Palantir gave an interview, and the clip that went viral was a softball question where the journalist was just like, should humanity continue to exist? Should human beings continue to exist? Something along those lines. And Peter Thiel, the noted billionaire who is going to build the next American monitoring platform, sat there in silence for a good 30 seconds, not knowing how to answer this question. And I'm like, wow, it's a real life Elliot Carver. That's incredible.
I think it's not going to work out, this whole humanity thing.
Well, Elliot Carver agrees. And apparently so does Peter Thiel. But that's my in defense of this paper-thin villain.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know how long I feel like the suspicions coming around this guy that lead Bond there are nebulous. Like,
they make it sound like they're afraid he's a target. Like,
it's
weird why Bond goes there and decides to like be kind of villainous or suspicious of Elliot Carver, because it almost sounded like they were saying he might know something, go talk to him, but he's probably not the guy.
I was going through the wiki to find like, where are we, because
we're still way at the beginning because we haven't even sunk the ship. Like,
yeah.
The whole thing that starts this thing off. Okay, so Elliot Carver, he has this ominous headline about a bunch of sailors dying in the Chinese Sea. And then we cut to the HMS Devonshire or Devonshire. I'm not British. Don't hold me to it. And they have a couple of Chinese MiGs flying over them, warning them to get away. The Brits are like, no, we are right where we are supposed to be. You guys are wrong. And that's when we discover that there is a stealth ship off in the waters, and it sees that not only is the Devonshire off course, it is off course because they have manipulated the satellite, or I guess Carver did, all the way from Germany.
Using the encoder, so the ship doesn't know exactly where it is. So let's stoke some tensions and then fire a torpedo that chews through the hole and then can turn up and go up a deck. And it's like, okay, interesting premise.
It's a magic torpedo.
It's a magic torpedo.
Yeah, and it's a strange torpedo because it doesn't explode. And I guess that's the point. They don't want it to explode because they want to get to the cruise missile that's inside. But it looks like the Chinese have fired on the Royal Navy. Yeah. The Navy has reported everything, and now a bunch of people are dead. And apparently survivors were killed in the water. We get even more of Carver bloviating to the camera, talking about how, his news network is going to launch on the same day as this major world conflict.
Yeah. Yeah. That's my least favorite part of it all. And that's supposed to be his, like, this is the credentials of me being an evil villain, is the way I've actually set this up, and I'm profiting off of it. Like, okay, but it's just a little awkward and all.
And
weird.
I agree with you, except that history keeps proving it to be right.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean it's not awkward.
I agree 100%. That's why it sucks that it's right.
Yeah.
Because I remember, as I think about my history with this movie, I think I've seen it a total of 3 times, with 2 of them being in the past week. And the first time I watched it, I remember loving the remote control BMW and hating everything else about the movie. My roommate had me watch it with him because he was like, this is my favorite Bond movie. And I was like, dude, you have terrible taste.
Especially after GoldenEye, come on.
Yeah. And now, here in the future, having watched it again, I will admit that I like it more than I did then, only because the movie keeps proving itself to be far more prescient about the world that we were going to live in than I gave it credit for. But anyway, now we get to meet up with Bond again. He's brushing up on a little Danish. That was another line that I liked. I'm sorry, I can't just let it go. It was a good line. And then Moneypenny's line back. Oh my gosh. When she was like, I always knew you were a cunning linguist.
Oh, I was like, come on. We are hitting all of these quips that are just ridiculous. But, I mean, it's James Bond.
Yes, and that one is shocking that it got away. But I'll also admit that particular pun is one that kind of has an age restriction in itself, because I didn't get that joke until I think I was in my late teens, maybe early 20s.
Sure. I can see
people
that.
kept trying to explain it to me, and I was like, I don't get it.
I don't understand.
Yeah. And then one day it just clicked, and I was like, oh my gosh, all of these cunning linguist jokes are very funny. So it's one of those jokes where I'm like, of course they got away with it. Kids don't understand.
Yeah. PG-13. Nobody's going to know. Nobody.
Yeah, like only the adults are going to chuckle at it. And it's a great line from Miss Moneypenny, and she, no one can take that away from her.
I do like that Q was kind of a surprise show up when Bond is at the airport. And it's like, I was not expecting you this early in the film. I don't know if he comes back anymore in the rest.
Nope, this is his one and only scene.
Get that scene shot and you're done.
Yeah.
On those paychecks.
Exactly. And he's still having fun. Like every time, I don't remember his name. It's a strange name, but every time Q is on screen, he's having a great time. So that actor really enjoyed playing the character and had a great time with it all the way until his death. And this was another time when he was having a lot of fun. It looks like he's a little nervous when Bond is driving the remote control car and he stops it right at their legs. The old man is looking a little bit nervous about a stunt driver getting that close to them.
I would be pretty nervous too.
Yep.
It's rather close.
I'm significantly younger than he is, and I would be nervous.
Yeah. Oh, he gets that, and then he goes to meet Carver and a Mrs. Carver.
Mrs. Paris Carver.
Yeah,
and he's taken on the identity of a banker with the code name of James Bond.
I feel like I didn't recognize that until now, but I'd wonder what would have it felt like if they had given a different name, because I think in the older Bonds he would have a cover name at least. I wonder why
most
they
of the
didn't
time
do that here. Yeah,
it's something they gave up on. I think Timothy Dalton had a code name in his last movie.
yeah.
I can't. License to Kill. So, he was using code names. And then for some reason on the soft reboot, they're like, James Bond doesn't need to use a code name. And I guess if we're saying soft reboot and we'll have to live with this, maybe he's not world famous. Maybe he hasn't been appearing in newspapers.
He'd be this media guy would have recognized his face, I assume.
Exactly. So we have to accept that in this soft rebooted universe, James Bond is not world famous.
Yeah. He hasn't died publicly.
Yes. God, I always remember You Only Live Twice with Bond's face on the front page of all the papers.
So that they know he's really dead.
Yes, it was in all the papers.
It's like, technically, you just can't come back from that now. You have to be a different name.
Yes. Yeah. But, Bond is very cavalier. He's also pretty aggressive with Carver at this meeting, where he's, throwing out accusations left and right. And eventually Paris is able to separate Bond from Elliot Carver. Also, Wei Lin shows up, and I love Michelle Yeoh in this movie, so
I couldn't quite recognize her because I feel like I've only seen her later on, at least like nowadays movies, and so I went and checked, and I was like, oh, that is the same actress, and she does a good job as her Chinese spy self. I think that's one of my favorite parts is later on when they're examining her spy room, her spy studio. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah.
But second to that is what I just saw in my notes, and we'll have to get there. But the assassin that comes after Bond a little later. Oh my, I forgot. I think I'm a fan of henchmen, and so Stamper really pisses me off.
Especially because of Kaufman.
Yes, because I'm like, oh, I love this guy.
Yeah, and you get him one scene, and now we're back to forgettable Aryan guy.
Yeah, it's like, that is interesting.
There are rumors that this movie was going to be kind of a soft launch for a Wei Lin franchise, where they were going to continue doing maybe Chinese spy movies, but there was going to be more of a kung fu look at it. And I think it's just a rumor. I think it's only because Michelle Yeoh, throughout her career, has always been more famous than anyone realizes. And so every time she's in a movie, she gets very good screen time and she gets very good parts. And it's because, of course she does. She's world famous. Like, people everywhere know who she is. There might be Americans who don't know a lot about her, but
sure,
she's well known everywhere. And I think this movie, it tries to do her dirty in a couple of parts, especially at the end. But otherwise, I still think she's one of the best parts of this movie. I really like Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah, she's pretty good.
Yeah. And I'm into Wei Lin. I think she's a great character. And I really like the moment she appears and she's like, I'm a Chinese reporter. And I broke in. I'm like, spy. 100% spy.
I mean, so this is the only time I've watched this movie. I didn't expect her to be a spy. So later on, when Bond is doing his spy stuff and finding the GPS, whatever, and she pops up, I was surprised. I didn't love that she's in like Lycra or whatever and wearing super giant high heels. It's like, oh, I mean, it's about as feasible as a guy in a tuxedo wearing whatever tuxedo shoes go with, is also doing his spy stuff. But then she gets to rappel down a wall while all that stuff. Like it's a okay confrontation because Bond is distracting the guards. That's why she can just do her thing.
Mm-hmm. I was about to say it's another one of those slapstick things where like for the audience it's just kind of funny that the guards are only looking at Bond and she's doing the most spy stuff in the background and nobody notices her.
Yeah.
So I got a chuckle. I will give the movie its chuckle. It gave me a light chuckle. But yeah, we get to meet Wei Lin. We also get to meet Paris. She gives Bond the lead to go find the rooftop access panel. She also reveals that Bond is a spy by asking if he still sleeps with a pillow under his head and
gun under his pillow.
Yeah, whatever. I realize what I said. I sleep with a pillow under my head too.
Great.
A gun under his pillow, which is under his head.
I think it's a decent, like the bad guy is doing his homework instead of either assuming that he's a spy. So I think it's all right, but like he gets mad at his wife, so his wife goes back to Bond, and I feel like that is maybe what do you call it? An average, maybe better than average romantic interest, because they both know what they're getting into. She's his ex, he's her ex, like, but it still just feels like it's there for an emotional impact when she's dead in 5 minutes. It's like, oh, you guys brought Terry Hatcher into this,
yes,
and then you killed her.
She is not long for this movie, and apparently Monica Bellucci was in consideration for this part.
Would she have died as fast too?
Yep. Yeah, so that's what I keep thinking about, is the fact that every one of these actresses that were in consideration were big name actresses.
I'm like, this is after Lois and Clark, right? Or
yeah, this is when Lois and Clark is on the air and #1 in ratings. So
I mean, wow.
Yeah. She is a big deal actress, and she's barely in the movie.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, and you're dead. And
yep.
Bond. We're getting so close to that part because Kaufman's gonna show up, but he shows up because she's dead, and I assume he has killed her.
Yep, that is the conceit that we are supposed to accept.
How do we get there? Let's get there. How do we get there?
So we are a little bit out of order. We will go back to the German. We're in Hamburg at Carver's main office for his media conglomerate, launching their satellite network. Bond gets captured by Stamper. He's really captured by Carver, who tells Stamper to go and beat him up. Stamper sends some goons to beat him up. They do a very good job of it. There is an action sequence. Bond turns off the station. Everybody leaves. The Paris is sent to Bond's hotel. Bond is expecting an assassin to get there, and it's instead Paris. They sleep together. Paris returns to Carver's place after telling Bond how to break in. So Bond does indeed break in. He is able to steal the GPS box. Then he hears someone else breaking in. That is Wei Lin, who sets off the alarm. We have the action sequence that we talked about, which was wonderful. But Bond has the GPS box, and when he gets away, he gets to his BMW, slides the box in the car, starts driving happily to his hotel, when Elliot Carver calls him back to say, "You have 2 things that belong to me, my box and my wife." And Bond hangs up the phone and drives to the hotel because he knows she left his room. So if she is there, it is not a good thing. So he gets into the parking lot, sets the security level to 7, because I guess he's 007 and that's as high as the security
As high as
level
it
goes. And then he goes upstairs to meet the assassin, Dr. Kaufman. Have I gotten us there?
I think so, because I'll say that the Stamper guy apparently loves this Dr. Kaufman, and I did not make the connection initially because it wasn't very clear. Because I know later on I hear him
throwaway line at the end where he's like, for Kaufman.
Yeah, I was like, I remember that line, and I was like, wait, why does I don't know. But we get to the assassination bit because she's dead, and I recognize the one guy as being from Last Action Hero. Another nice call out. But he's there to kill Bond. But they have a whole little monologue where Kaufman is kind of just talking to Bond and being like, this isn't like my profession. This is more like a hobby. Like, sorry I had to come to this, but you're doing your job, I'm doing my job. But it's him being as likable as the other side actors that have taken up movie time in Bond, like the Las Vegas mogul dude that's kidnapped in his basement.
Jimmy Dean,
yeah. Jimmy Dean sausages. But this guy, even though he has a ridiculous accent that he's doing, is just being, it feels like he's been hired and kind of understands that he's at the edges of something maybe he doesn't quite understand, and it's like, you know what, you're gonna die now, and sorry about that, but Bond of course has to kill the only interesting character that could have done something different had he had the time.
It's a very good reversal because, Kaufman is about to kill Bond when Stampa radios in to say, you have to figure out how to unlock the door. And Bond's like, yeah, you use my phone. Here, let me do it. And Kaufman's like, no, I'm going to do it. And of course, he hits the taser button on the Q-Tech phone, which shocks him and allows Bond to get the gun. And the thing that we heard on the radio when Bond was entering the hotel room was that there was an unknown person, an unknown man with the body of Paris Carver, and it was suspected to be a murder-suicide. And the way that Bond is able to get the gun right up to his head, and Kaufman's like, please, I'm just a professional doing a job, and Bond's like, so am I, and kills him. Yeah. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, from that angle, maybe it looks like a suicide. Like, maybe Bond made the news story come true. Like,
yeah. Because they can't get into his car because they're trying to get the GPS thing, and he's like, we got to call you before you kill Bond. We got to know how to open it up. And he's like, okay, I'll ask him.
I do love cutting between Kaufman giving his spiel and the henchman failing to open the car. That's a good touch. And especially now that we are at the end of this BMW's life. But it had a good run while it lasted, and it's about to have the best run of the movie because
yeah,
I love this car chase.
It's a very good car chase where I think the remote is what makes it nicer to see Bond, like not necessarily driving as the main task. It's hard to describe what I'm feeling from it because
he's more in a defensive stance because he has to sit in the back seat and duck a lot of gunfire. And missiles and grenades and all this other stuff. but he's having a great time because he's got this remote control for the car he's inside. It's got a screen that's got a view of the bumper, and he's got all of his gadgets from his cell phone. Like, I don't know. It worked for me in the mid 90s. It works for me today. That phone was hyper futuristic for its time. You know, there was nothing really like that. Nothing that offered television quality display. I think there was a flip phone in that style, but I think it was just another small little like e-reader style monitor on its inner display. So what he's doing is total science fiction for the time.
What I was just thinking is we never see Bond going over the documentation for all the buttons on his phone. So if he does have some sort of domino superhero power, it's just pushing the right button for what he needs when he hasn't even looked at the manual.
That's a great point. Every button he pushes is exactly the gadget that he wants. And this
must
is
be reading something.
Yeah. This is a brand new bit of Q tech. Like, Q just invented this. And what we've learned about Q is on his old gadgets, commands never change. But on his new gadgets, he goes crazy.
What can I make this one do?
Yeah, so Bond is just super lucky and hits every exact button that he needs to do what he needs to do. Or he RTFM, you know, and we didn't get to see it on screen.
Yeah.
While he was drinking that vodka, waiting for Paris to show up, he's just reading the manual.
You know, you gotta just memorize your stuff. Maybe he has a very good memory.
Exactly.
Well, car chase is good. I think the remote helps it, and there's a couple of I don't know if you call them misdirects, but like you can't get out through one exit that he tries to blow up, but he eventually gets away somehow. I'm trying to figure out.
His getaway isn't fully explained, but the end of the car chase is. He drives to the very top of the parking garage, but on the second to last floor, he jumps out of the car and hides so that the baddies are still chasing the car. And then he drives into a wall and crashes through the window of a Avis car rental at the bottom, where he had, you know, met with Q to rent his car. It's a cute little throwback. But I don't know how he then gets away, because presumably he is still in a locked down parking garage.
With all the other people that are there.
Yeah, like they saw his car go off and maybe a bunch of them have left, but I don't imagine that all of them left. Or if they all left, then I guess that's how Bond got out. But yeah, we don't necessarily see him escape. But I'm still fine with the end of this car chase. It's bombastic. It's so much fun. And frankly, it's one of the best action sequences in the movie for me.
Yeah. Compared to the other ones, yes, that's agreeable.
Yeah, everything else tries, and they have good ideas. They just don't really work. And
helicopter motorcycle chases, it's all right.
Yeah, 100%. It is all right.
Yeah.
It's got good ideas, and there are very cool images, but then there's other things where they keep reusing the same stunt. Well, I guess they only reuse the same stunt twice, but they do a couple of things multiple times in the same chase, and so you're kind of like, all right, I'm a little bored with that. Can we see something new or move on? And and I think that detracts from the helicopter jump or the helicopter kill. But, you know, let's actually get there.
Yeah. First, we have to meet up with Wade.
Jack Wade!
Jimbo.
You know, exactly. Now that I know he is not the racist sheriff, I like Jack Wade. Like, I didn't get a cringe when he showed up. I was like, It is Jimbo.
It's a nice extension of the help he had previously. Like, well, we can bring that one guy back and he can be the contact because Felix isn't around.
Exactly. He's the American contact for the one scene. And we get the big halo jump that, speaking in terms of Bond effects, it's another one of those really big stunts that you have to give it to Bond. It just doesn't feel like a big stunt because it happens so fast.
Yeah. Which I think between a really long stunt and a shorter movie, I would vote in favor of a shorter movie. But yeah, This one, he gets to go up, he shares information, and he dives down until he is then underwater in the classic Bond fashion.
We gotta have another underwater scene. Thank goodness it's short, but Wei Lin shows up underwater. She's got a spear gun. Bond freaks out and pulls her mask off, but she's still got a spear gun. So, like, I don't know why Bond gets it in his head that he can win every fight that he picks, but he sees that it's Wei Lin. He calms down. They calm down, but they get trapped in the missile room. This is where Bond discovers that they had stolen a cruise missile, which I'm pretty sure is just a conventional weapon. I don't know what makes it particularly special.
I have no idea. But I was wondering, like, I don't think I caught what was missing. So Bond figured that out then. And okay, so bad guy has this missile.
Yep. They don't say it underwater. They say it later when they're in her hideout. But, she's able to get the jump on him. They get trapped. And then she has to trust him when he, like, points the way to go. And I will be honest, that I don't like a lot of the underwater stuff. And most of it in this one kind of bugs me, except for that moment where she has to trust a stranger. There's obviously no dialogue because we're underwater, but Bond takes off his mask and points at the way that they need to swim. She looks at him like, you are crazy and you might be trying to kill me right now. But then she takes off her mask and goes up that pipe. And I don't know why it works so well for me, but it does. It's so subtle and it's so good.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. Like, I feel like when they met earlier, I don't know that I felt like trust, but it was kind of like, a smirk, a smile, and a wink, and like, oh, you're a spy too, I'm a spy, and like, yeah, I suppose this is a good spot where they become better partners at being spies.
They are kind of forced into it. Yeah. I don't know if it's a choice thing necessarily, but they certainly are able to adopt their new situation, showing the audience, at least, that Wei Lin is truly an equal to Bond. She's cool under pressure. She can change her plan. She can adapt. Like, she's just as good as Bond. And I'm glad they're paired up. I really like this pairing because she's not a romantic Bond girl. Frankly, they kind of force the romance at the end, and I don't think it works.
Yeah.
It's better when she's just an equal, when she's someone who's also saving the world. I found her a much more compelling character. And this is during that period where I'm deeply fascinated with her as a character. And I see that look on her face, and I'm just like, man, underwater acting, that's dope. But, they get to the surface, the boat falls to the depths, presumably getting crushed by the pressure of all that water.
See, maybe. I feel like once water is everywhere, wouldn't it all just be the same pressure?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. That's a good point. I don't know.
Yeah. Anything with air inside of it, maybe, but...
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know what happens to something that was built for one pressure, even when all the water... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happens. Maybe
we should, in a separate idea, since they get back to the surface as the ship's going down, her ship has been commandeered and, what is it, for the third time in Bond films, someone gets harpooned.
Yeah, and just because.
Yeah. Just because we have to show that we mean business. We can't kill the people that are spying on us that could wreck our plans.
They could have just been sitting there in the boat. They could have already killed the guy. And when she comes up to say, hey, pick us up, they could have just stood up. But no, they kept the guy alive just to shoot him in front of Bond and Wayland and Waylin. And that's a weird flex for the enemies, for the baddies.
For their henchman who is so tall, he has to stoop through doorways.
Man, Stampa is just such a forgettable villain. But
I don't love him at all. Oof.
He's doing so many villainous things, and by the books, he's fine. It's just he doesn't work. Yeah. Exactly. But they go to Carver's headquarters in Saigon, which is a shock to Wei Lin because, when she had met Carver, he wasn't allowed to have any media presence inside of China. Yeah.
Interesting.
So something has changed, but they're going to bluff all the way to the end, and they're going to say that they're working together. They've been working together this whole time. And then at some point when, okay, this is where we learn that Stampa had learned everything from Kaufman.
Yeah.
Because Stampa has all of his torture implements, and he says, these are all the tools that Kaufman taught me to use. And,
oh, man.
It's
you're saying his name perfectly.
Stampa.
So I hate that guy. I hate that the villain does his pretend headline by typing with one hand. It's ridiculous.
Super fast.
It's this is bad. Anyway.
I forgot about that. It's not the best scene, but it does lead to the escape and, the handcuffed escape.
Oh, yeah.
Because Bond and Wei Lin have been cuffed this whole time. They kick over a table. It starts chaos. They break through a window and have a leap of faith onto a balcony, I guess, because there's nothing to worry about. Yeah. I got nervous. I was like, I don't see the bottom, and they're just jumping.
I know they kind of fly in and see the building, so maybe Bond memorized what is on the outside, but I mean, that's the only thing I could think as to where he would have gotten the trust to jump out the window.
Because, they fully do it. But when they get to the next ledge, they're smart enough not to jump. Instead, they do the famous descent. Oh, I forgot my other favorite quip from this movie. So as they're flying into Saigon and they see Carver's headquarters, he's got his face on a giant banner hanging on the side of the building, the banner that we are about to talk about. And Bond turns to Wei Lin in the helicopter and says, do you think this man has an Oedipus complex? And I love that pun so much. I laugh every time. It's so good. So there are 3 good quips in this movie. If you're going to hit every quip that you can hit, you're bound to get a couple of them right.
A couple. Yeah. I still don't like quips. At least overdone. There's so many. Yes.
There's too many in this movie, but they're, when that's the joy of a shotgun approach. You'll hit
You
the
get
target
one.
sometimes.
It's a win.
Anyway, back to our action. They see that banner that they were making fun of, and Bond and Wei Lin decide to grab a handful of rope each and take a leap of faith. And this is where we get one of the two most distracting digital effects of the movie. And it's only distracting because it hasn't aged particularly well. For most of the drop, it is a digital image, and it doesn't look great at all.
Yeah.
But it's showing the story that they're trying to tell. And then when you get to the very end, that's when they cut to a real image of them hanging from a ripping banner, and so that I'm able to forgive it. I'm like, okay, at least they gave me something real at the end. I'll forgive that. They don't give us that courtesy on the next one that I want to talk about, but I'll remember that when we get there. Anyway, they have to crash through a window and escape, all handcuffed and cute and looking like a couple.
And still gotta hop on a motorcycle to
Yes, and
get
you
away.
just, before we get on the motorcycle, one thing to know about the cars that I saw parked outside of Carver's Saigon headquarters is all of them were left-hand drive, like in an American car. So naturally, Wei Lin is like, take a car, because she would be the driver. And Bond is like, no, we are taking a motorcycle.
And it's a BMW motorcycle. I was like, I thought it was, but I couldn't find the logo. Now I see it.
They've got that branding on lock.
Yeah. I mean, I remember BMW from my childhood, and I had no idea how prevalent it was at least in these movies.
Yeah, they were very big in the Brosnan era. And it worked for me. When I was a teenager, I remember desperately thinking, like, when I get older and rich, I'm going to buy a BMW car and a BMW motorcycle. I wanted them both.
Way too expensive. Oh my. Oh, I mean, it's a longer scene. It's through all of the people, and I just don't find it fun.
I agree. It's such a miss, and it shouldn't be. You've got a helicopter that is tilting forward and using its rotors as a blade as it slowly inches forward. Like, that's a pretty villainous thing to do with a bunch of pedestrians around. So, like, that should be pretty intense. But then everything just takes so long to resolve on the motorcycle that it's like, I don't know. I get bored midway through.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wish this was done. And it shouldn't be boring. He jumps over the blades of a helicopter. And then he uses a rope to kill the motorcycle, or to kill the helicopter. Like, those are very cool things that Bond does in this movie. And I don't care because they're at the end of a very overlong motorcycle helicopter chase.
Yeah, it's like they had to get away, but maybe they could have gotten away a little bit quicker or something.
Just a couple of cuts. Just a couple of cuts in putting things on the cutting room floor. There's one little crossover that they do twice, and I mean crossover as in Wei Lin goes from the back of the bike to the front of the bike, and vice versa. It's an interesting stunt, and that's the reason they do it twice, because it looks so almost smooth and dance-like, but it's extremely dangerous. I love, to the movie's credit, I love when they are both driving together. Wei Lin's left hand on the clutch and Bond's right hand on the accelerator, and both of their heads kind of poking forward. Like, it's a good image. I like that image. good symbolism, good imagery. Why does it take like a half an hour?
Yeah, at least it isn't underwater.
True, that would have slowed everything down. An underwater motorcycle helicopter chase would have been insufferable.
Maybe in the next movie we'll get that.
Yeah, we'll get our underwater chases again.
Was still kind of, I don't know. They end the chase, helicopter's gone, and they're like, they have to shower to rinse off the chase. Like,
you know, whenever you have an action sequence, you go to
Yeah.
a public shower and you just start taking a clothed shower.
it does that. Like, that part was like, I don't understand why this is going on, except that she needs to escape, and then our two main actors are wet. So sure.
I was going to say, you're missing the point. The point is that we've got to put a bunch of water on Michelle Yeoh. Like, she's hot. Like,
I guess.
yeah, it's a contrived, semi-romantic scene. We get a good little chuckle when Wei Lin handcuffs Bond to the pipe, but the pipe is flimsy. He immediately breaks it.
Yeah.
And then he chooses to lose her.
Yeah. Loses her. She just goes to her studio apartment and takes care of all the people that are coming to get her. It's like,
Yep, like 4 dudes that come in for a kung fu fight.
yeah.
And this is the scene that creates the rumors of a Wei Lin spin-off series. They're like, well, you know, Michelle Yeoh just kicked the butt of 4 dudes alone while Bond was just dilly-dallying outside. Clearly, she's going to get her own movie. And I think that's just reading into things. She was a big deal action star. I might be mistaken. I might be thinking of a different actress, but I'm pretty sure she got her start as a dancer. And I think it was a Jackie Chan movie where Jackie Chan was like, please, you need to be in this movie. And she was like, I don't know Kung Fu. And he was like, I don't care. You know how to dance. Like, treat it like choreography. Just hit the beats. And that will be your Kung Fu. And that has essentially launched her into the Kung Fu stardom because she just treats it like dance. She's not a fighter. She's a dancer. And I could be mistaking her with a different Chinese celebrity, but I'm pretty sure it was Michelle Yeoh who did that.
I don't know of the rest of her history.
I think she was in Police Story with Jackie Chan, and that was where this started. But I could be wrong. I don't know my movies that well. But yeah, she has her action sequence. I don't love it, and I think it's because I do love Kung Fu movies.
Yeah.
And this is clearly a Kung Fu scene shot by a British dude. He just doesn't get it.
I mean, yeah, I think I do enjoy once her tech and gadgets come out after the fight. It makes Bond seem uneasy or unsure, just not the smartest spy in the room. He starts touching stuff like, what's her name? Midnight or no?
Yeah, it wasn't
Night.
Midnight, but I know exactly who you're talking about. The lady from License to Kill who grabbed the
laser.
Kodiak.
Yeah,
the
Kodak
camera that had a laser in it.
Bond touching stuff, making it blow up. It's like, sometimes he does that when Q Branch is around, but he's in a different spy's place, and like, it's an upper hand that she gains of, you're on her turf, and like, please don't mess with my stuff.
I do like when Bond comes face to face with his own misogyny, and that might be the best thing. The third or fourth best thing about this movie is the fact that Bond has to deal with the fact that his equal is a woman, and he hasn't had to deal with that since The Spy Who Loved Me with that Russian spy.
You know how we
Triple X.
solved that problem? We cued
Sleeping her.
Yeah, we cued the music to say he's taking a romantic interest in her because apparently he can't best her as a spy. So, I mean, that's kind of fun to see it as a dig at James, like, except for the fact that they do end up together. So it's like, I mean, that's just the genre of Bond. He ends up with somebody.
He has to have a girl at the end, and she's the only girl around.
I'll say that the fact that they cue it up with like more than 10 minutes left in the movie, that's fine. Like, yeah, that's better than I think his interest in some of the Bond women.
Yeah. You were just trying to kill me. Let's make out.
Yeah. Then it's fine. No.
Yeah, so it's this is among those last few times when I'm loving Wei Lin, and it is the romance that kind of kills it for me, because I know that they're going to end up together. I'm not upset that they're going to end up together. I've just been really enjoying them as colleagues, you know?
Yeah.
Like, why do they have to romance too? Like, why does that have to be so important to this movie? But whatever, I'm not the one making the movie.
Well, they get the idea to go after the ship and sneak up on the sneaky ship.
I do like that they at least said that they were sending a message to both of their governments to be like, it may come to nothing, you know, they may still want to have World War III, but at least we can say we're working together and there is absolutely something going on. Don't start a war yet. So I'm glad they at least give that as a throwaway before they go on to the stealth ship, presumably as a suicide mission, because everybody else who has ever seen the stealth ship has died. And that's their first hint as to how to find it, is they've got to find a place in the Chinese sea where a bunch of people have just gone missing for no reason recently.
So they imagine to find someone to tell them what's going on near an island or something, and right? Or is that earlier? I feel like
no, you are correct. That is, they go off to that island and they find someone who's like, I'll do it for $5,000, and Bond's like, will he take a check? And that's the end of that. Like,
I do.
Next scene, they're on the water.
Sean Connery Bond, where he has to pretend to be married. Like, oh, we gotta find a ship, and we gotta find a place to go, and it kicks off the romantic interest, and it's all right. But the fact that they do sneak up on the ship, and the bad guy eventually realizes they're there, is my fun favorite incompetent bad guy. Like, oh, why are you on your phone? There's people in our secret ship.
Is he on his phone? Because I was sitting here thinking, like, this is 1996, right? Like, or 97? Like, I can't. 97. We're in 1997. I don't think text messaging exists yet. Certainly, internet on your phone does not exist yet. Like, what is he doing on his phone? What can you do on a phone?
It looks like he's on a clipboard. I just pulled it up.
Yeah, like, I was sitting here thinking, like, what is distracting him so much? Because if this were made today, it would absolutely be a game on his phone.
A phone, yeah.
But this is pre-phones. What had him so distracted?
He was checking off the checklist, man.
Yeah. I'm glad that he's there. I'm glad that we got the distracted guard. I genuinely thought Carver was going to slit his throat when he grabs his head and, like, yanks it backwards. Yeah. I was like, ooh, that is a very exposed neck.
Yeah, like license to kill.
You know, yeah, Carver doesn't have one of those licenses, so the bad guy gets to live. Yeah, it ruins Bond and Wei Lin's plan of setting off bombs, because Now Carver knows that they're on the boat, and they immediately capture Wei Lin. But Bond, he's the guy who's on all the posters, so he doesn't get captured quite so easily.
I mean, he uses a dead guy to pretend like he died in the water. That was decent spycraft, like quick thinking.
Yeah. I loved it because immediately Stampa is like, Bond is dead.
Oh my gosh. I feel bad because I feel like it's a different movie that I'm recognizing that guy, or at least somebody like that guy from.
He's so... I mean, every very Aryan guy in a movie is kind of a mix between this guy, the guy from Russia with Love, and other very German-coded enemies who are always just blonde and boring, but with a heavy German accent. And that's all that Stampa has going for him, is that heavy accent. Otherwise, he's just another boring Aryan. He's so boring. Poor guy. Poor boring guy.
He lasts so long.
He lasts longer than any other villain in this movie.
Yeah. I think so.
And we finally get to go back to the trope of the henchman trying to get revenge, So I guess Stampa has something going for him. He's important enough to last all the way to the end. But we're jumping ahead of ourselves. Bond is presumed dead, but we know he's alive. Wei Lin is definitely captured. She tries to kick Carver. Carver does some racist stuff that does not age well and really kind of stands out like a sore thumb. But he's the bad guy. It was racist then. It's racist now. That's all I got to say about that one little moment, because Bond captures Gupta and holds him hostage, and he offers to make a trade, Wei Lin for Gupta. And I kind of like how everything starts to fall apart. Like, this is the moment where Bond reveals himself, and it's the calm before the storm, because there will be a storm. But leading up to that storm, like, we've got Bond who has put a grenade in a jar with a watch battery for some reason.
Some sort of watch explosive or mechanical breaking thing, so it can break the glass.
Something to break the glass.
I didn't realize what exactly was the plan. I looked at it and kind of just like hand waved. Okay, so something will happen.
I love that they showed us the setup, because when the scene happens, Carver has another speech, because that's Carver's whole thing, are speeches. And while he's giving his speech, a villain comes up, Bond shoots him, and he's able to give that really great line of, "Oh, sorry, I was tuning you out for a minute." And then Carver decides to shoot Gupta when Gupta says that you only have to press one button. Yep, and it'll go. And so Carver shoots Gupta, and he's like, "I always have a backup plan," or something like that. And Bond whispers, "Me too," and breaks the jar. It's such a good payoff. I love it.
Yeah.
I do like that particular payoff. It works.
Yeah, I can agree. I wasn't quite expecting him to shoot Gupta, so I'm going through with my plan. So if my plan's ready, then I don't actually need this guy that, like, maybe he shot his only IT support dude.
Yes. Hopefully he doesn't run into any technical problems for the rest of the day, because he's a long way from shore and a long way from his HR department to hire a new head of IT.
Yeah.
But, the explosion is enough to alert the British Royal Navy. They are, I guess, Okay, so this is something that I might have to watch the movie again just to confirm this, but I'm pretty sure Carver is the only one firing missiles at both the British and Chinese navies. So there are missiles going off, but I think it's only Carver, and neither major nation has fired back at the other. And so when the stealth ship shows up and the Brits are like, contact the Chinese Navy, we tell them we found it, and they're immediately like, yeah, good hunting, go get them. I'm sitting at the time, I kept thinking like, wow, that's weird. They just turned on a dime. But now I'm sitting here thinking, I don't think they were fighting each other at all.
Yeah.
Like, I think they were taking hits from Carver knowing that it was not the other side, that they were just like, okay, it's another missile. It looks like the bad guy's missile, but it's not. Like, everybody chill.
Well, they got this whole old wizened captain on the British ship being like, tell our people not to fire on the other ships. So they have a good commanding person being there.
It is one of those parts where I liked it then. I like it now. I don't know why I like the, I guess it's the HMS Bedford. I'm looking at the wiki. I don't know why I love every cut back to that ship firing on the stealth ship, but it works for me. It tickles something inside my brain where I'm like, yeah, hoorah. Even the British Navy, I'm going to be all patriotic and supportive of.
Oh, well, I think we kind of maybe skipped over the villain plan. The guy that they saw leaving in Singapore or somewhere is going to take over the Chinese leadership somehow and grant our villain broadcasting rights in China. I'm like, okay, that's...
For 100 years.
Yeah. So that's the plan? Okay. I mean, I guess the modern day payoff of, I need X, Y, and Z. Well, I need you to start a world war for me. It's like, done. Do I still get X, Y, and Z? It's like, well, all right.
Yeah. I want to be critical of it, except history keeps proving it correct.
Yeah. It's like, oh, dang it. These idiots.
So British Navy is firing on the stealth ship. The stealth ship starts the timer for the cruise missile, which will fire on Beijing. If it hits Beijing, Carver believes it's going to have the same impact as a nuke, because he's like, Beijing will be wiped off the map. And I'm like, I didn't know cruise missiles were that powerful. Like, that's a lot of city for one missile, but whatever. That's the stakes of the movie. Bond has to stop it. Gupta is dead by the hands of, what's his name? Carver. Wei Lin and Bond are able to get away once, the chaos starts, and they split up. Wei Lin to go to the engine room, Bond to deal with the cruise missile. I don't love any of the Wei Lin action sequences, and it's because they made her throw in all of these unnecessary hi-yahs.
Yeah.
So every cutaway to Wei Lin after this point is terrible because they've just forgotten what made the character so special, and now they're just making her a caricature.
Yeah.
And she does her job. She destroys the engine and stops the boat. Good for her, but she looks good holding two rifles. Like, Michelle Yeoh was
dual wield.
Definitely a hottie and definitely an action star, and I like her with the dual wield. Yeah. I just wish she didn't say hi-ya when she shot. Like, you don't need to say hi-ya when you shoot a bullet. Like, that's...
I think so there's a couple of slow-mo shots that I don't love. I think what's his name? I think this is the part where Carver made me realize how many times he's told Stamper to kill them. And it's like, maybe don't mess it up this time.
Yeah, it is the third time that he has told Stampa to kill them. And for the third time, he's still not going to do it. But that's what gets rid of Stampa.
Yeah.
Now Carver is alone, but he thinks Bond is either dead or dying underneath some rubble.
Oh, yeah.
Little does he know, Bond is there, and he's trying to shut off the cruise missile, but somehow Carver gets the jump on him?
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah. In order to give the villain the last monologue that he needs.
Yes. He needs another speech.
Just to make it, worth it. I honestly I had forgotten completely about the intro mission and the drill torpedo, but that same torpedo type shows up and chews up Carver after Bond gets back the upper hand.
Yeah, and all he needed to do was press the one flashing button. I don't know why the override button was the only button flashing, and I don't know why that's the button to get the drill to start spinning, but Bond's got Domino's powers. He only needs to hit the one button, and it's gonna work.
It's gonna work. Don't have to worry that much.
I gotta be honest. After the past few movies, especially the Timothy Dalton movies, I could have used with a little bit of blood. Like if they had some kind of blood bag, like some liquid bag where when the thing crashes into all of the equipment, something sprays blood all over the place. I think that would have worked. It might have given it a R rating, and maybe that's the reason they wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But, from my perspective, Carver's there and then he's gone.
Yeah, it's like, well, he could come back.
Yeah, he just vanishes suddenly. So that's the only reason I'm like, they could have done with even a little bit of blood, even if it was digitally composited in. They have no problem with digital effects very soon. So why not some digital blood? But nope, that's not what we got. We just got the drill to go in. But now Carver is fully dead. Our main villain is gone. We just need to deal with that stupid cruise missile. And there's only like a minute left. So naturally, Bond is going to go through the tedious process of unscrewing every bolt on this cruise missile.
This is how we disarm it, guys.
Thank goodness Stampa shows up with Wei Lin in chains.
Oh, gosh. You're not going to stop. And I think
I will
just
never
fine.
stop.
It just catches me every single time.
If I remember him in the future, I will still call him Stampa.
Oh, I can't even. I'm trying to place where I'm even thinking of. I feel like it's like Brooklyn Nine-Nine or something where it has the same sort of accent for a character like him.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, but he's captured Wei Lin and he's got her chained up, and he says if Bond doesn't back away from the missile, then she's going to be dropped into the water and drowned. So naturally, she's awesome again, and she reaches into her pocket and grabs some explosives. And she's like, just put these on the back of the cruise missile. They'll just explode. Like,
I'm a better spy than
you don't have to do
this.
anything. Yeah. This is the easiest tech of all of my tech. It's a sticker. Just put it on the thing.
Yeah.
So I love that. It's the last time she's going to be awesome in this movie after she's had stopped being awesome for a while. And then Stampa drops her into the water, and jumps onto the missile to go fight Bond.
Let's fight, Bond.
This is for Carver and for Kaufman.
Oh, man. And like the fact that it's obviously put in post-production, like, oh my gosh. Like, I didn't need to know that he loved Kaufman like a mentor or whatever. It just, if what's her name, Anna Top from the last one was a paper thin 2D character, this guy, I don't even know like anything about him. He just has really, really, really white blonde hair.
Yep. He's a copy and paste villain from another movie that also used a copy and paste villain. Like, there's just nothing original about Stampa. But, you know, Bond somehow gets the upper hand in the fight. He's able to release a hydraulic that has been holding the cruise missile in place. And it crushes Stampa's foot. And Bond is able to make his escape into the water. And we get Stampa to explode with the missiles and the boat, and everything's blowing up, and it's awesome.
Everything is saved.
And now we finally get to the last bit of digital effects that I actually hate. Like, I think they look so bad that they kind of are distracting, and those are the chains holding Michelle Yeoh.
Oh.
Every one of them is digital. And they didn't need to be. They genuinely did not need to use digital chains. Maybe it was uncomfortable. Maybe the rope that they were using didn't look good, and they just put the digital chains in to make up for it. But nonetheless, those are definitely CG chains holding Michelle Yeoh in place. And they don't look good. They just don't work. I don't like them. I'm just sitting here thinking, like, if she, makes her arms go wide, then she'll clip through the wall. Yeah.
I don't know if I noticed those ones. Oh.
I'll admit I noticed it on my second viewing. My first viewing, I was like, I don't know, I guess I was lost in the story and I was having a great time.
Like, oh.
It was a second viewing that didn't allow this movie to stand up to scrutiny.
I mean, I'm sure acting underwater is pretty tough, so I wonder if it was like, she can't tie her arms down because she needs to handle the scuba stuff to rebreathe, and maybe it's something like that, because
that could be it. There's a million reasons that I could think of to do it, and frankly, the one that I said about maybe they used rope or, a lighter chain and it just didn't look good. Yeah. And you can't reshoot it. Like, that was an expensive underwater shot. So why not, digitally mask out whatever was replacing it? Or what you said, what if it's dangerous to shoot underwater and you want her to be able to grab air when she needs it so she doesn't drown herself while someone on set thinks she's acting, So yeah, there's several legitimate reasons to not use real chains. It just kind of sucks that we're using 1997 digital effects, and in 2025, watching on a big screen TV, it looks like 1997 digital effects.
Well,
but anyway, the ship blows up. They're smart enough to swim sideways before swimming up. They get on to the wreckage of the boat. The Bedford comes to rescue them, but
no,
they decide to do what they do.
Well, I started at one rating, and I think I went down a little bit. So I'm sticking with my new rating.
Okay, we'll do I'll do the spiel.
Sure.
On here we do ratings, not grades. Both are a 1 out of 10. or 1 to 10 score. And in a grade, they say a 7 out of 10 is the average because they don't want kids to feel bad when they get the real average, which should be a 5 out of 10. And that's what we do with our ratings. We say a 5 out of 10 is the average. And with that said, before you give your rating, I just want to jump in and say on my first viewing, I came away saying that this movie was an 8.
Wow.
I was like, this is the best Bond that has bonded. It was on my second viewing that my personal score changed. But with that said, you've already hinted that your score also changed during the discussion of this. So why don't you tell me where it was and where it is now and why?
Well, it's tough because I wanted to like it more than any of the Sean Connery films. But at best, it's tied for, well, I guess that one is also Live Twice is also, or Die Twice is also a Sean Connery. So maybe it doesn't get past that one because it just, the villain wasn't great. Maybe it was casting, maybe it was motivation, writing. The henchman wasn't great. There's like zero. The only development is that he likes the torture part that Kaufman taught him how to do. Kaufman was cooler than him.
And you only get him one
and
scene.
I didn't even understand that was the Kaufman that he was talking about. Oh my gosh. So it's kind of a mess. I think, I didn't lower it a bunch because it wasn't high to begin with. It's a very average movie. I would have started at a 6. I've ended at a 5.5.
Okay, so that wasn't a huge jump,
No.
but, still downwards,
Yeah.
and that's fair. That's fair and fine. I remembered the last thing that's great about this movie, but because it's so great, it makes me angry, and I've already said it once. When we get to the end credits, we get Katie Lang's Surrender. It should have been the main title song. It should have been the beginning of the movie. You didn't even hear it, and that just adds salt to the wound. So whatever. I'm hoping when this podcast is finished recording, you go and look up Surrender by Katie Lang. It's the letter K, the letter D, space Lang.
I'll give it a try.
And, I love that song so much. It is the best song in this movie. But I gotta say, compared to the last movie, we finally got a movie with good Bond music. That was the thing I hated about GoldenEye. I really could not get into the music. I just felt it was a bit too dated. But now we've got a new composer who is going to be the composer for a few movies, and he does a really good job of capturing the original essence of the Bond score.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of the original themes.
I feel like there
with
was a
some
couple of string
updates
parts
to
in
them.
this that were like, oh,
Yeah.
that's nice. That's beautiful.
Yeah, this composer is hitting it out of the park. So if I were just rating this movie on its music, it would be a 10 out of 10. They did a great job, except for the opening sequence. But as I mentioned, I started at an 8. I watched the movie again, and it went down to a 7. I thought about the movie some more, and now I'm down to a 6. There's just, I'm going to give the movie its due. It's got a great premise that worked at its time, even though it was kind of hitting you over the head with a baseball bat to be like, Rupert Murdoch is the bad guy. We promise you, look at the real world. These are the bad guys. And, whenever anyone is hitting you so hard with the message, it's hard to be like, yeah, that was a good message. And then this movie continues to be correct. And that's why I have to be like, it's still got some weight. It's still it's still right.
Yeah.
And I love the remote control BMW. I frankly think that's inspired. I think that is one of the best car chases in all of the Brosnan era, and maybe all of the Bond movies that we've had so far. I just have a lot of fun with that remote control BMW. I really think it shines. And then everything else kind of sucks. And so I think I'm being fair by giving it a 6. Like, it's one of those movies where the first time you watch it, you might love it, and then it just doesn't really work any time after that. But with an average score of 5.75, we are going in the trend that the internet warned us we would go.
It was worse than GoldenEye.
Yep, they just go down, and I keep thinking, like, I don't want that to be true.
Yeah. We'll see the next ones.
Yeah, indeed. And, this movie would have been a 10 out of 10 if they had just put Katie Lang's Surrender at the beginning of the movie and Sheryl Crow's Tomorrow Never Dies at the end of the movie. That's just how I would have done it, but whatever.
Everything would have been better.
Yep. The entire movie would have had a better script. It would have had a more tolerable director. But, we've made it through another one, and we are down to our last 2 Pierce Brosnan movies. And that is kind of a bittersweet pill to swallow. Like, it went fast.
Yeah. Like, I think since I haven't watched these other 2, like, I think I've caught clips of whatever the oil one is. But if there's 2 more, I have no idea.
And for me, the most memorable thing about one of these 2 movies is the Madonna theme song. Oh. And I think that's Die Another Day. And so I don't know anything about either of these movies coming up.
There's the oil one. I don't know if that's the same one that has what's her face? Another Bond girl.
Halle Berry?
Maybe? See,
because I am excited to see Halle Berry. When she comes up, this was peak or prime Halle Berry time period, so I will be very happy to see her as a Bond girl.
I think that's probably the main idea of Bond movies. Trying to find the right compliments to whoever Bond is.
Yeah, and I think Michelle Yeoh was a good compliment, and I don't know if I can say the same about anyone else in the movie.
Dr. Kaufman. We should just watch Last Action Hero at some point. Declare that it's a franchise. Yeah,
just to throw it in there, just for our own benefit.
It's a franchise in waiting. Because why not?
Yes. Willing it to be a franchise. All right. Well, we've had a tiny influx of new listeners, and so if this is your first time here, thank you for joining us. I hope you come back every week. And if you would like to help support this show, the 2 best ways to do it is to interact on the platform that you are using, whether that is leaving a review or a comment or, I don't know, sharing. Sharing works anywhere. That's the second way to help this show, is to share the episodes with anyone you think would enjoy them. If you've got a buddy who is into Bond but maybe not into podcasts, we also make shorts from these episodes, just little tiny bite-sized clips, and we upload those to our Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok accounts. I would love for you to join us there. So you can also leave comments on our shorts, like electwick_fish on TikTok, like electric, but wick at the end of Rick. Like, it's cute. It's punny. It's hard for me to pronounce it out loud. At the real life MI5, or is it MI4? I think it's MI6 in the movies, but I get what you're saying. At the real life British intelligence agency, the head of the agency actually goes by M. or another single letter, regardless of what their actual name is or of who's in charge. Sorry, I was going off script. It refers to the position, not the person. So, we talked about
cool.
how, like Judi Dench adopted the position of M, and we were like, it's absolutely a position.
What about
not
the
a
double
person.
O's?
Yeah, and so the double O's, that's where we get into muddy waters, because remember, in some of the movies, like on Her Majesty's Secret Service, it's absolutely a position where he's like, that never happened to the other guy. Then you've got other movies like GoldenEye, where Bond has always been the same Bond. And even though it's a different actor in the role, it's the same person in all of these movies. And so, there is no consistency when it comes to the actual character of Bond. Now we know that M
is a title. I think it should be a consideration thinking of 007 as like a group of stereotypes put together. And so if this new actor fits those, or I guess new Bond fits those, then you know what? Well, we're just going to latch on all the history that has happened to Bond to this new guy. So new guy, you have an entirely new personality and or history, which is just insane.
Yeah. So if you want to give your opinions, you can either leave a comment on any of those things, or
thank you for the comment.
Leave a comment. Yeah, Electwick_fish. I appreciate it. Now I have to remember to actually No, I'm not going to make it short. This is one of those times when you listening at home might want to go stalking our TikTok page, find that comment, and be like, did you hear in the new episode when they shouted you out? So, I won't make it a short. He'll just have to find it on his own. But if you want to leave a comment that we 100% will see, send it to our email, potatochippicturespod@gmail.com. I have those going to my phone, so I am 100% sure to see those, as opposed to every other comment where I only see them when I just happen to log in. So, if you desperately want to get your words in front of my face, the email is the 100% guaranteed way to do it. Everything else is like a 75% guarantee. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, then I guess it's time to say James Bond and Potato Chip Pictures will return when the world is not enough. Goodbye!